The majority of IT professionals get their start at a call center or a help desk. So today I'm going to go over the top 10 most common help desk issues and their solutions that you may receive in this job position. One of the most common help desk issues you're going to get is issues with a keyboard or a mouse. Now, when it comes to a keyboard and a mouse, if it's something mechanical with the keyboard or mouse, like the key's not working and the key's sticking, something needs to be mechanically removed or replaced. In the majority of organizations you're going to work at, it's going to be cheaper just to replace the keyboard and mouse. But you still want to do some troubleshooting whenever somebody complains about a keyboard or mouse issue. So the first thing you want to do is determine if it's a wireless keyboard and mouse or if it's wired. If it's wired, follow the wire to the computer and make sure it's actually plugged in. I cannot tell you how many times that's been the root cause behind a mouse and keyboard not working, is it wasn't actually plugged in. Now, if you have a wireless keyboard and mouse, you need to make sure that the receiver is actually detecting it. Now, some models will have a physical receiver that you have plugged up to the laptop. They're usually plugged in by USB like this. So on those models, you want to make sure that the receiver is actually plugged in to the computer. Now, on newer computers, you can wirelessly connect to keyboards and mouse using Bluetooth on them. So go into settings and make sure the Bluetooth is turned on those. So once you've confirmed that the receiver is plugged in or the Bluetooth is enabled, you want to see if they're picking up the device. You'll go into the settings for the receiver or the settings for Bluetooth on the computer, and there should be an option to list devices that are connected to it, and you're going to look for that keyboard and mouse. Now, these newer wireless devices can be connected to multiple different devices sometimes, an option for which signal channel you're on. So the next step would be to make sure that you're actually connected to the right signal channel for the device. And after that, I would also check the battery. Now, it may be an obvious thing where it's not lighting up at all, showing you what channel you're on. In that situation, it's obvious as a battery. If it's a situation where you just don't know and they've had the device for a long time, it wouldn't hurt to change the battery out. Now, if it says it is connected in Bluetooth and it's still not responding, you need to check the device drivers on the computer. What you're going to do is you're going to go to device settings and you're going to look for any red exclamation marks beside those devices. And after all that, I typically, if it's still not working, I'll look to see when the last time the computer was rebooted. If it's been like a couple of days or in some situations, maybe a month or more since it's last been powered cycled, I would restart the machine and see if that fixes it. If after a restart you're still having an issue, run and grab another keyboard and mouse. The majority of organizations out there, because of how cheap these devices are going to have multiple on hand. So you just grab one, see if another one will work or not. Now, the second issue we're going to cover is no internet. An end user calling in reporting no internet can sometimes be a difficult situation because majority of the time there's nothing you can do about it. Now, so the first thing I would do is I would make sure they were talking about the internet. Because a lot of organizations also have an intranet available, and your end user will often refer to the intranet as the intranet. So after you've confirmed that they are in fact talking about the intranet, have them go into the settings for their network and see if it shows any networks being available. If there's no networks available, have them go to where the Ethernet cord plugs up to their computer at and see if there's any indicator lights. Now, if the end user is complaining about a wireless network and they're not somewhere that you can physically go and visit them, tell them to find an Ethernet cord and plug up their device to an Ethernet connection. Now, most of your computers and laptops out there, the NIC card where the Ethernet plugs up into will have indicator lights showing that there's actually an internet connection going on. Green means that there is a connection, and then the amber yellow is the data rate transfer that you're achieving. But you want to have them look at the back of the device to see if they see any lights at all where the Ethernet cord plugs up to the device at. If, however, they look back there and they don't see no indicator lights, have them follow the Ethernet cord to the wall or the router that it's supposed to be plugged up to and make sure it's actually plugged up. If it's a wall that it's plugged up to, there won't be no indicator lights, but if there's a router or a switch that it's plugged up to, there should be indicator lights saying that there is in fact an internet connection going through that cable to that device. Now, if they've done all that and they still don't have an internet connection, and this is not an internet network that's managed by your organization, the problem may be on the end user's ISP or internet service providers. So have them reach out to whoever they get their internet from and ask about any issues that may be going on. A similar issue to the no internet is going to be a specific website that's not working. And again, this is going to be hard to troubleshoot because in a lot of situations, there's not going to be anything you can do about it. So what you want to do is first make sure they're not talking about the intranet to your organization. You want to confirm with the end user what the web address is. If it's a site that's supposed to be managed by your organization, then you would reach out to that department that handles that website. If it's an external website, have the user confirm that they are typing in the web address correctly, then have them open up another browser and put in the web address and see if that works. If that still doesn't work, again, the website may be down, so it may be an issue with that other organization. Now, a complicated issue you may see from time to time is files missing. File missing service call, you want to confirm with the client specifically what files they're looking for, where they think they should be at. If it's files they themselves created or somebody shared with them, if they're being shared through a cloud folder like Dropbox or OneDrive, or if they're supposed to be local files. Have the user check their recycling bin. If they're on a shared drive for your organization, there's usually another department you can reach out to and ask them to check for a backup copy of the file that's missing. If these are files that's being shared with the end user from somebody else, have them reach out to the person that originally shared the documents and make sure that they didn't do anything. And this can be a very complicated and a very hard issue to troubleshoot with the end user, because being a tier 1 help desk contact person, there's very little about it you can do. Now, if these are personal files that they're missing from like a USB device or some type of detached storage, there are third-party apps out there that can help them recover the files or not, but that goes beyond the scope of what this video is. Another fun help desk issue, email not working. And the reason why email not working is a fun issue is because most organizations out there use a third-party provider for their email. So it's another situation where there's not a whole lot you can do. So you want to be very specific with the customer to find out, first of all, what they mean by can't send or receive email. Find out what email service that they're checking. Is it a desktop app for Outlook? Is it the web app for Gmail? Is it the iPhone app for mail on their phone? And then find out what profile of theirs that they're logging into, and find out if it's on multiple devices that they can't send or receive email. If, for example, on their computer they can't send or receive emails, it more than likely is a situation where they just need to restart their computer. If it's they can't check or receive emails on the computer and they can't check or receive emails on the web client, then there may be an issue with your mail server. And that would be something that, again, being a tier 1, there's not much you can do about it. If the mail is internally managed, you'd kick it up to the next level of the help desk, and they would check on it to see what's going on. If it's a cloud-based email provider, you may have to reach out to them and let them know you're having an issue. The good news is email is very important to every organization, so even if this is a third-party provider or this cloud host in your email, they usually have 24/7 support available to your organization. Now, my all-time favorite help desk issue is printer problems. Now, depending on the size of your organization, printer problems could become a nightmare. Now, you may be working for a small organization where they're not as big of a deal. But first, you want to find out what the client specifically means by the printer not working. If the printer's not showing up, find out if this is a local printer that's connected straight to their machine by USB, or if this is a network printer that they're supposed to be connecting over through a share system. If it's a straight plugged in printer, make sure it's actually plugged in, make sure the printer's turned on. If it's a network printer, a lot of times those can still be connected but not showing up in available systems. In those situations, you can usually go into a control panel and search for it. If it's a USB connected printer and it's showing up but it's not printing and the printer is on, have them go into the settings and see if they can access the settings for the printer itself. Look for any error messages there. A lot of times it's as simple as a missing driver or an update that's missing for these USB connected printers. And sometimes it's simple as just clearing out the print spooler. For network shared printers, sometimes the local person's computer is not picking up a newer driver for the printer that they're trying to connect to, and because of that, it's not wanting to print. In those situations, you want to remove the printer, which is pretty straightforward regardless of the OS you're using, and then re-add the printer, which is different depending on the OS you're using. On Windows, you'll go into Control Panel, Printers and Devices, Add Printer. In a Mac OS or in Linux, you're going to go into Network Settings, and you're going to add Shared Devices and add Shared Printer. Blue screen of death calls. These are where, for some unknown reason to you, your end user's computer just all of a sudden shows a blue error screen, and it typically says it's gathering information, it's going to restart. Now, a lot of times on these blue screens, it's going to say what service or what device had the error. So have them, if they're quick enough, to take a picture of the specific error message so that you can see what it's saying. If the blue screen of death error message is not up there long enough for them to take a picture, ask the user what they were doing at the time that this happened. Were they in the middle of a Zoom call and they plugged up a headset to their computer and then it went to blue screen of death? Did it just randomly just go to blue screen of death? Were they running updates, or were they running some other memory extensive process and went to blue screen of death? You find out specifically exactly what they were doing. Now, this would be a situation where I would try to physically visit the user's computer or remote into the user's computer, because on Windows machines, you'll have a reliability report where you can go in and you can see what in the background might have been going on at the same time as the blue screen of death was going on. And a lot of times that can give you a lot more information. Computer is running slow. That's a very fun help desk call to get, because one person's version is slow. It's not the same as another person's version is slow. So the very first thing that I always check is I will go into Task Manager and I'll go to Processes, and I will see if anything's maxing out the RAM or the CPU on your computer running in the background at that moment. The second thing I will check is I will go to your hard drive and see just how full your hard drive is. If your hard drive is like 99% full, that's going to slow down your computer significantly. And the third thing that I will check for a slow computer is I will go to see how long it's been since the last time it's been powered cycled. And along with that, I would check to see the last time it ran updates. So if it's been a while since it's been power cycled, I will tell it to run updates, and then I'll have it restart at the end of running updates. And the majority of the time, that resolves the slowness issue. But depending on the age of the device, if this is an older device, there may not be anything you can do to make it any faster. Computer randomly shuts down or restarts on its own. Again, this is a situation where you want to get very specific with the end user on what they were doing when it happens, if it seems to happen at any periodic periods of time. If you're able to get to the machine either physically by visiting it or through a remote console, look at the reliability of a report. All those power cycles are going to be listed on the reliability report, and that reliability report will also list if something was going on in the background, like 9 times out of 10, something like that is caused by a hardware failure of some kind. And that will give you an error message that you can trace down to what piece of hardware, usually it's a missing device driver, that caused it to happen. Computer making a loud fan noise. That's another fun help desk call to get. Typically, this is caused by a process running in the background that's using up a lot of RAM or CPU. Now, a Windows machine, if it's running virus scan, will tend to cause a loud fan noise as well. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with your computer. So sometimes there's not anything you can really do about it. So I would go to settings in your computer, and then I would go to the troubleshooting section, which on Windows is underneath updates, and it should allow you to troubleshoot the mechanical aspects of your computer. If it's Dell, you'll be able to go to the Dell support website and specifically run a test for the fans. So this would be a situation where you would go to the computer's manufacturing website and see what it suggests to do, and pull up the reliability report and see what's going on in the background, and under Task Manager and Processes, see what's going on there too that may be using to put a lot of resources. Bonus question number 1, slow internet. Again, this is a subjective call from your end user, because what's slow for one person may not be slow for the other person. So you want to find out specifically what they're doing, what website they're trying to access. Are they trying to download something? Is it a large download? Is it just one specific website that seems slow to load? There's a lot of free web pages that would do a speed test for you. You can have them run that and see specifically what it says. And this is an issue where if they're trying to do wireless and they're talking about being slow, I would tell them to go plug up to an Ethernet connection. If they're a remote user, a lot of times the issue may be on their ISP side or on their home router, which you as a help desk technician cannot do a whole lot for. So in those types of situations, I'll ask them to power cycle the router. I would have them check for updates and power cycle the computer and see if that resolves any of it. Bonus question number 2, can't log in. First of all, find out what they're trying to log into. Is it their computer? Is it their email? Is it an intranet site? There's a million things that they could be trying to log into, so you need to find out specifically what they're trying to log into. Then talk to the end user and find out if they've recently changed their password. If they haven't done that, I always ask them if they use a password manager, and maybe they're using a different browser that doesn't have their stored password in it, and that might be the issue. And then ultimately, you may have to walk them through having to reset their password if they completely can't remember it. So these were just 11 common help desk IT questions to kind of get you used to what the process and what the work environment of working at a help desk or call center will look like. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button down below, click the subscribe and the bell icon so you'll know the next time a new video is released, and leave me a comment down below of what you would like to see next. If you want more IT career related videos, check out this video series here, and have a good one.